This isn't the first time, of course, Iran's threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz. Did the same back in 2008. Now, despite the fact that, of course, it's going to cripple Tehran's own oil industry if it did that. Would Iran, do you think, go ahead anyway just to prove a point?
Well, I think it's more a case of whether things get out of hand. I don't think any side here wants that to happen. The Iranians don't really want to see that kind of disruption to the oil industry. As you say, that is their principal source of foreign capital. The United States doesn't want to see that happen either, because it would impact negatively on both the U.S. and European economies. However, sometimes when rhetoric reaches a certain level and tensions reach a certain level and people have taken positions, things can cascade out of control. Yeah, and that's the real risk here. Exactly.
The worry when there are a lot of heightened tensions, just one stray move on either side could escalate, yeah? I mean, there have been no diplomatic ties, have there, between Iran and the US now for the best part of 2 decades. The situation seems to be now taking a dangerous turn. Just how serious could it get, potentially?
Well, I think we could see war. We could see some kind of conflict. There's been a propaganda campaign in the United States, very similar to what we saw before the invasion of Iraq. The major news organizations have been hyping up threats about Iran. We've seen questionable allegations be given a great deal of weight here in the United States. People have a tremendous animosity toward Ahmadinejad, the leader of Iran. So I think you have the kind of climate here that can then lead to something else, where politicians start getting trying to out-macho one another, and before you know it, no one feels they can compromise. I think similar things are happening in Iran. They have their own pressures, their own political problems, their own economic problems. So, and then of course you have Israel, which has been making a point that it considers the Iranian nuclear program an existential threat. So you add those combustible elements together, and as you say, one false move by any party, a mistake or intentional or provocation, could lead to catastrophe.
That's worst case scenario. Let's try and look at the bright side. Is there any chance you think of a negotiated way out of these current troubles?
What I hear is that President Obama would like to still see some kind of way of developing a security arrangement for the Middle East that would involve Iran. He obviously is under a great deal of pressure in this election year coming up not to be seen as soft. The Republican candidates have been very aggressive, saying they would support a war with Iran. Former Speaker Gingrich has said he would join with Israel on an invasion of Iran, in effect. To achieve regime change. So you have that kind of political pressure on Obama's right. But I think there's still a chance for cooler heads to prevail. And I think you have with Obama someone who would like to see that kind of a result rather than the other.
It's interesting you're picking up on that. A number of observers we've talked to said that because of the politics involved and because people who'll be looking at their campaigns, these are dangerous times we're heading into potentially in 2012.
Right. I think in the United States, there is this tendency for people to talk themselves into corners. And it's sometimes then the idea that no one wants to seem weak, no one wants to be seen as giving in. And we've seen what kind of consequences we've had from that. That was sort of the case in 2002 and 2003, when President Bush said there was no alternative really but to invade Iraq because we had gone so far down that road. Sometimes these actions have their own consequences, even if the wiser heads might not think they're the smart way to go.
Robert, thanks for being on the programme. Season's greetings to you, editor of a Consortium News as you are. Thank you.
Thank you.